All right, welcome to A Link to the Past No Major Glitches Tournament 2021 here on ZeldaSpeedRuns. This is a Losers Bracket Round 2 match between blucentio and ScarletSisters. Our commentators are Fox, Lisk, and Vortex of Doom. Take it away.
Howdy.
Hello. I don't know about you, Fox, but I am very excited for this matchup.
I'm excited too, yeah.
Both of these runners have been running pretty well lately. Been on some really good paces.
Hang on, the cropping's completely messed up for some reason.
All right.
Well, yeah, but as you're saying, both of these runners have been putting in a lot of work, getting really hot paces pretty frequently. Blue's been improving a lot. Scarlet, I keep dropping into her races, and she's like minus 60 seconds somewhere in the Dark World.
All right, I'm gonna send them off now and fix the cropping while we're waiting. I don't know why that cropping didn't save.
Yeah, like Fox was saying, Scarlet's been on some red hot paces lately. Blue just had, a run yesterday, I think, that was like 2 seconds off his PB. And it was not a hot pace. He made up lots of time all over the place. Both runners have been running very well. So hopefully this is a good race. And yeah.
Yeah, I think I actually missed it, but last time I looked at Blue's PB, it was, I think, over a minute slower than this, so he's been burning the time off real fast. Should be a really good race. So we're getting off to the escape here. I guess I'll do the usual spiel about the escape. It's the first segment of the run. We don't really have much equipment. We can't run. It's not super techy. It's all about doing your best to have really clean movement, getting around corners cleanly, getting into doors cleanly. There's a little bit of combat that you want to do as carefully as you can. Yeah, the split really doesn't have anything going on except the fundamentals for the most part. Shouldn't be seeing too much separation here, but definitely some interesting stuff going on.
Yeah, and I mean, while there isn't a lot of tech, and it's all about fundamentals, the differences in those fundamentals can be, you can see them show up pretty well. There's always, until you're a 123 runner, honestly, there's always a little time to save in escape. You can always do something better, and it's definitely a hard split to get the most out of.
Definitely. It's also one of the ones that tends to be, I don't know about overlooked, but people tend to not practice it a lot because the difference between a world-class level escape and a like mid-130 level escape is like 10 seconds, and there's more time to save in other places. So you'll tend to see people who are learning this, or who are improving at this game, not really practice escape, and it just sort of starts going better over time as your movement starts to clean up.
Yep, I can confirm that my escape, I didn't grind my escape at all from a 605 gold down to a 555 gold, so it just came with more runs and more resets.
Yeah. We see Scarlet here very visibly pumping. She was doing some air pumping to save a few frames in that long stealth room. Both players whiffing the guard kill a little bit. No big problems, but a little bit of time loss. I don't think
Scarlet smartly stops a little bit. She got halfway to the door before getting a successful boom on that key, and it's really hard, and it's hard to tell what causes it, but you can actually get through the door and leave without grabbing that key at all. So definitely good that she stopped and grabbed it.
Yeah, I think it has to do with leaving the room before, while the boomerang is still too far away from you, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough at the room to ever beat the boomerang out, so it's not a problem. Both players. I think Blue did the 1 pot and Scarlet did the 8/ on the ball and chain guard there. There's very minimal timing difference between the strats. 8/ is a little bit faster if you get it right, but it's really quite hard to get right and actually save time with.
Yeah, I think a lot of runners in the tournament have actually been just opting for 1 pot. I know at least a couple who normally do 8/ in their PB attempts that in all their tourney races have just done 1 pot because it's more consistent. It's barely slower. They're just okay risking the time in a PB attempt. And they don't really see a point in risking that time in a race.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some people adjust their strats for races more. Some people do it less or not at all. Uh-oh, I lost Scarlet's feed.
I did as well.
Uh-oh. All right, well, hopefully we'll get that back online while we watch Blue here make his way to the sewers part of the escape. The sewers are sort of the back half of the escape. There's a lot of RNG that shouldn't affect things too much, but you have to be like pretty on top of it to handle it all. If you're not like watching closely, or if you misread what the enemies are doing, it's pretty easy to like get bullied by the snakes and the bats and stuff.
And this is the section where I think most runners lose most of the time in escape as well.
Yeah, for sure. Nice rat hellway there. I think up through Dark Cross as well. Got pretty good RNG. Oh, the bat got him on the way back. That's unfortunate. Scarlet coming up on her key rat. Her stream is back, at least on our desk. Got pretty good key rat RNG. That key rat is the bulk of the RNG in this segment and can cost you like over a second between the best and worst RNGs, although most of the time it's somewhere in the middle.
Scarlet is down to half a heart. She can take one more hit.
And not slashing out of the door. Wow. Brave. Alright, so she makes it out alive. Maybe had a little bit of a scare, but it's all good.
And one of the best parts about the safety that both of these runners are about to grab, Sank Heart, is that it refills your health. It's the only heart container in the game that does that on its own, which is very convenient. If you've had a rough escape and just want to get on with Eastern, you can be certain that you can do it the way you normally would every time, or approach it the same way.
Now you're making me think about what Eastern would look like if that weren't the case.
Yeah.
It would actually make sense to pick up hearts and escape and stuff some of the time. Making our way. This overworld, the beginning of it is kind of nothing. We do a little bit of guard manipulation, but basically we're just making our way over to the east. The last couple screens here, though, the Octorok Field and then the Eastern Palace screen itself, are both really rough screens. Again, we don't have much equipment, so they don't look very techy necessarily, but you have to really, really be on your toes in these segments, or these screens, I mean.
Yeah, a lot of game knowledge goes into these two screens and a lot of reaction time. It's definitely something that you don't appreciate right away, but eventually you sort of start just seeing how these rooms fit together, and you start seeing everything, and it's a really cool moment.
See, both players still on full hearts. Scarlet pumping a little up that staircase to beat the guard. Blue doing the same. Taking it in, both of them with full hearts. This is pretty much exactly what you want to see getting into Eastern. Eastern, the big excitement comes in sort of the second half. We've got the first real trick of the game where we damage boost onto a floor switch instead of killing all the enemies in the room.
I'd say the first real trick is this one that Scarlet's going through. and blue too, where you up to 4 Stalfos can spawn, but if we don't let them spawn first, we can just hit 2 of them and before they even spawn, and it's gone. But
Yeah, that's definitely true. That's a cool room.
it is. It's one that I mess up far more often than I should. It's such an easy room, but sometimes you just don't get it, and I don't know why.
It's
Or
one of those
I mean I do know why, but
It's one of those rooms that's easy enough that you're like, oh man, I should just like really push this room and do it as fast as I can. But then you start messing it up. Both players coming up on the damage boost here. Blue opting to boom that rupee. I'm guessing that means he goes for true rupees.
Yeah, I think both of these runners do.
Alright, Scarlet having a little trouble taking an extra hit there, but because she came in with full health, was fine. Blue having more trouble. We'll see if he opts to pick up a heart here.
In a race setting, I absolutely would, but...
Okay. He's either very brave or might not know that those pots have hearts.
And it might be a calculated gamble. There is a heart in the Gifted with Greenies room. I don't know if it's faster. It might be a little faster. But, you know, if the back half of Eastern goes as planned, you don't take any damage.
Yeah, but
Blue, I'm sure, knows he's
real danger here. As Scarlet takes a hit.
And if Scarlet doesn't pick up that heart, wow, the key was right next to it. But both runners, you know, gambling on there.
Are we gonna get these hearts? Nice. Okay.
Ooh,
well,
okay.
Get a heart, take a heart.
And this is the reason you want more than half a heart, because these cannonballs...
Oh. Oh, that's a really painful death.
Yeah, that's very bad. I mean, it's early in the run, which on its own makes it a little better. But it's...
There's plenty of time to come back from it, but oof.
Yeah.
Blue there had a little bit of trouble with Zelda Gamer Room. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's probably a minute and a half to 2 minute death.
Yeah, somewhere in there. It's quite punishing. Killing the Armos is out of order. That's interesting.
Does get the quick kill. It's
Scarlet showing off the rando knowledge there, shooting the arrows instead of using the pots.
Yeah, it saves a little time over walking over, picking up the pot, and going back. You're closer to the middle of the room where you need to end up. And remembering she does not need to kill the Igor again is another pretty cool trick from Scarlet here. I would have picked up one arrow pot.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's a mistake not to. You don't need both because you'll get one in Zelda Gamer Room, but you definitely want to have full arrows here since it's practically free.
Ooh, and the miscellaneous arrow prize
yeah.
already there, which means she could end up just getting it again.
That's possible, yeah. Blue showing off spin speed. After we get the boots, we can do a trick that if you release a spin and then tap A on the next frame, and then come off of some manual stairs, you can go at super ludicrous hyperspeed without actually charging a dash. There's not a ton of screens where we actually get to do it because it requires some setup, but it's really fast when you can. Going for the first spin speed on library. This is probably the least useful, least time save of any spin speed that we do in the run.
Mm-hmm. I happen to know that Blue does that one just so the screen is as close as possible to when we do it later in the run, where we definitely want that spin speed,
it's a pretty good idea.
Is, you know, that's definitely understandable, especially at this level where you're not always necessarily going to be super. Well, I guess there's no level where you're always super confident in your spin speeds.
Nope.
But just getting a couple more reps in is honestly probably worth the time loss for peace of mind.
It's also
I do
just
the same
really
thing.
fun to zoom around at super speed. That's why I do that. You see here, showing off the boots, lots of long, open paths to dash around. Scarlet not opting to go for the first spin speed, also very reasonable. Blue, I believe, menued from the book to the book. Perhaps he just moved where he menus, hasn't gotten into his muscle memory yet. He also canceled stair drag there. If you face left or tap the A button, or face left or for 1 frame or right for 2 frames, near the top or bottom of manual stairs, you get your full speed back. Like, you walk really slowly upstairs, so you double your movement speed. You only double it for a few pixels, so it only saves like, I don't know, 5 to 8 frames each time you do it. But every frame's a frame.
And there's a lot of places where that's pretty free time. So like if it's the direction you want to go anyway, just making sure that you start your movement that way is, it doesn't cost anything. Good thing to be aware of. Very clean desert overworld from Scarlet, pending an extra book usage or something. But I don't want to jinx
first dash and bonk. I think I saw someone do that in the tournament. Oh, she did go for the cursed dash, but she didn't bonk. Might have even saved time on that dash, against all odds.
Yeah, I think she just made it into desert faster than I ever have, so props to her.
Blue here picking up his gloves. Making our way to the back of desert. There's not a ton to talk about in desert. A lot of long hallways to dash through. Cannonball Stream is pretty hard, but the difficulty in this dungeon is like 10% in the overworld, 10% in the dungeon, and 80% on the boss level. It's absurd.
There's Scarlet getting some rough RNG, but handling it very well. Almost no movement wasted after starting that room. So I can't remember what I was going to say, and it probably wasn't terribly important.
Probably something about the worms we're coming up on.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of potential for the already existing gap to close or widen substantially in this fight. So.
Oh yeah. I do want to point out that somehow, despite going through Eastern Palace twice, Scarlet has 30 rupees less than her opponent. Where did he find all of these rupees?
I think. Where did he get I think the Popo after Big Key dropped the red, where it was super free for him to pick up.
That's a good place for it. You don't see that a lot, but that's a very good place for it.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, we'll see how this Lambo fight goes. Oh, really good start on the first 2 worms, but not getting any damage in the last worm is pretty unfortunate. It tends to add an extra cycle.
Yeah, the last worm, it's kind of hard to conceptualize this when you're starting out, and it took me a while to like really get it. But that's the most important one to get damage in. Like, honestly, you'd probably be better off getting no damage on the first 2 and like 2 or 3 in the last one than 2 in both the first 2 and none in the last one. Just because of how much easier it makes the subsequent cycles to clean up, and you have them being earlier in you'll finish a cycle earlier the more damage you have in the last one.
Blue, unfortunately, exactly as predicted, had some trouble finishing off the last worm. I think in the second to last cycle there, probably a little upset with himself because he miscounted, and he went for a spin which I guess he thought was the last hit, but there was actually another slash left on it, which cost him a whole cycle. You hate to see that. I personally basically never go for those kinds of things. I do not trust myself to count well enough, and I'd rather spend an arrow than lose 6 seconds. If you can count, it's great, but it's really
Oh, the short hop.
That worm sucked, yeah. Scarlet definitely made some time back up on that fight.
And in the dungeon itself, too. Definitely a very clean dungeon overall from Scarlet.
Blue doing fake flippers now. Okay, he's through with no trouble. If you get hit during fake flippers, the game... Well, you get to a place where you have to save and quit, or else the game will hard lock. And in this tournament, normally saving and quitting is not allowed in this category, but for tournament, you're allowed to save and quit to Link's house. So a soft lock there costs, I haven't actually timed it, but I don't know, 15 seconds at least. So it's a little
certainly not race ending, but especially if you're on, pace where you could reasonably beat PB, which, Blue, while being behind, is definitely on that kind of pace. It is a little deflating to invalidate your run for submission, even if you have a good one. So it's definitely something you'd like to avoid having happen, even if he wouldn't have even given up a lead with something like that.
I think he would still have been ahead. The only one I've seen, the only soft lock I've seen has been Chelsea's. But I don't know if there's
same.
others.
Blue taking his time avoiding damage. If you take damage while in the spin speed state, you still have it armed if you go off manual stairs, but you lose the speed. So you really want to avoid taking damage when you have that state whenever possible. And you can't swing your sword during it, so it's harder to avoid damage.
You can use your boomerang, though.
You would like. You can use your boomerang.
Blue making it into Hera with only a heart and a half down. That's really good. It's fine, right? You're not really very worried. You're going to take 1 deliberate heart of damage here. You're probably going to take 1 accidental heart of damage here, and then you'll have 2.5 hearts going into fight the boss, and you're going to be fine. Sometimes Death Mountain just like really gives it to you, and you enter Hera with like 2 hearts, and you're like, well, what do I do with this? Like, how am I getting through this dungeon alive now? Luckily, neither player looks like is having that kind of overworld.
Both players getting the first quick warp on Death Mountain, neither getting the second, but that's pretty par for the course in my experience.
I didn't learn how to do that until I was a second quick warp until I had a 125. So. Oh no,
Ooh,
Scarlet,
that's an understandable mistake with that mini Moldarm coming straight at you. It's something every runner has done and every runner will do again.
For sure.
But it's time she really would have preferred not to give up in a race where she's already behind.
Blue doing the forbidden illegal tech of not menuing immediately after the 4th time he uses the lamp and missing the torch and having to menu back again. Good job. Both players... Oh, actually Blue going for those arrows. Interesting.
It doesn't surprise me too much. His arrow count was pretty good, but, he might know he's ahead. He might know how nice it is to get those arrows. And, if he's ahead, I don't think he's probably looking at a gold Hera anyway. Though it hasn't been bad for him at all. But, it might just be nicer to have those arrows than worry about it later in the run.
This bomb jump setup. Making it across the gap, I don't know what was going on in that bomb jump setup, but it worked. And yeah, I mean, I think that it's fine, right? They're not optimal arrows, but as you said, it's a race. He's ahead. Being at 17 arrows is incredibly comfy. Seems reasonable.
I think those were probably faster than grabbing Bonk Cave arrows if he wanted to make sure he had 5 more.
Oh yeah, they were definitely faster than Bonk Cave. He already had 12, so. Anyway, coming up here on Moldorm, which is sort of a notorious fight. There's a lot of RNG. He can just knock you off of the platform, which costs a ton of time. Blue opting for a very dash-heavy strategy, which works out really well for him. Good job on that fight.
Scarlet taking the petting zoo very safely. Gets 5 rupees for her trouble and doesn't take any damage that she wasn't intending to. I didn't see whether she hit the switch.
I wasn't.
She may have opted not to, just, on account of she's behind.
I do want to say that Blue would have golded that Hera if he hadn't gone for the arrows. He was about a second off of gold.
That's pretty funny.
Scarlet doing more of a follow behind strat. Oh my gosh.
Oh my! Oh no! 1 heart.
We did not hit the switch.
Okay, this is definitely the danger zone.
Just waiting it out. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't. It's slow as heck. But you don't want to be in a race setting. I might have considered dropping down into the pit to get the fairies.
Oh, I don't even know which pit that would be. Oh, that was scary. Okay. It's going to be fine, right?
Can just get this last hit.
Oof. That's painful.
Still not the worst thing that can happen, but 2 of not the worst thing that can happen is pretty bad.
This is not the run that she wanted to have today. I'm very confident. I'm in a little trouble with Beetle's Room. Beetle's Room is really difficult.
Beetle's Room is top 5 worst room in the game for me.
I don't think it's in my top 5, but it's really tough, yeah. Blue going for the bird dash, which I approve of, but did miss the bird, unfortunately. Knows the backup, where you beam that crab. Very nice. Gets to skip a red. Love to see it. Taking it nice and slow on Moldorm. There we go. It's not the Hera we wanted, but it's the Hera that we've got. The run is still very much in contention. There's a lot that can happen.
Yeah, honestly, I would say right now there is probably maybe a little more than the difference between their PBs. Their PBs are, I believe, exactly 2 minutes 20 seconds apart, and this is probably like 240 difference.
Yeah, according to their splits, it's 305 as of Hera.
I want to say, okay, so 305, but Blue's a little behind too. Oh wait, never mind, the Hera split.
Yeah, just as of the Hera split.
But yeah, I mean, and most of the point was that most of the time save for any runner will be in the Dark World anyway. So
for sure,
if Scarlet, keeps playing clean, this should, on paper even, still be close by the end of the game, right? Definitely far from over.
I mean, there are a lot of deaths that are very easy to take that cost about this much time. right?
Mhm.
If there's a Helma death, suddenly we're quite close. If there's a Cold Stare death on Blue's side, Scarlet would probably just be ahead. Um, very much still anyone's game. I'm in a little trouble in Circle of Pots because it's definitely one of the top 5 hardest rooms in the game. Well, I don't know. It's up there.
I died in
Ridiculous.
Circle of Pots in one of my tournament races.
Oh god.
It was only my second ever death in Aga Tower, but room's hard, dude. Scarlet opting to pick up the mushroom even after passing it up. A wise choice, in my opinion. If you're comfortable with menuing with the mushroom, it's an extremely free safety.
Yeah, mushroom's great. Powder's great too, honestly.
Mhm. I don't think either of these runners will be picking up powder. I think Scarlet is definitely confident enough that even if she normally picked up powder, which I'm pretty sure she doesn't, she probably would be skipping it this run.
Yeah.
Just to make up time.
It's kind of a funny thing because on the one hand you're like, well crap, I'm really far behind. Maybe I should skip safeties. But on the other hand you're like, well crap, I'm playing badly enough that I keep dying. Can I really skip safeties today?
Yeah.
Not that she's actually been playing badly, right? She's looked good
No,
overall, but a couple things. One of those things where
yeah.
a mistake
I mean,
that's not
like,
worse than any other mistake, but just happens to cost you 100 times as much.
you can be playing really well and take a cannonball in that room in Eastern, and Moldorm can frame roll you regardless of how well you're playing. There's, her 2 most costly mistakes were ones that runners at all levels never stop making.
I've not been paying any attention to Blue's blue ball counts, by the way. I can't even watch the blue balls in my own runs. My eyes glaze over during the
Not
fight.
too many, I don't think. I think I saw at least one, but
Yeah, I saw at least one as well, but I don't know. So maybe chat was watching.
I guess we'll have an idea based on his split, since he does split them out. Luckily, the tower climb has been going pretty well for her up to that point. That's a bad room to take a fall and maybe 1.0 damage in.
Oh wow, she went for an interesting poke dash strat on that guy that I don't think I've seen before. It didn't go the way she expected, but it's still cool idea.
Looks like probably 3 for blue.
Yeah, I think that's right, based on the time. But I didn't see where he split. Oh, Scarlet shooting an arrow there. Now is gonna have some arrow count trouble in pod. Unless she gets a lucky drop. Also having some trouble with circle of pods. I'm telling you, this room is impossible. Blue coming up on everyone's favorite monkey. Paid 10 rupees for the privilege of having him follow you to where you can then pay him 100 rupees. Blue dashing a little high there onto that switch, which makes getting the second dash optimally a little harder.
Yeah, optimally you want to hit the switch on the dash up and not the dash to the left. It makes relatively little difference.
It only really saves human error frames. I guess you get a slightly longer dash as well. Oh my god, I can't believe Blue didn't get hit by that.
Yeah, if you're anything less than extremely clean, quick hopping into that pit, that shooter will will 1.0 you. For anyone who doesn't know, in the 1.0 version of the game, you weren't made invulnerable from like enemy damage while falling into a pit. And that's of all the 1.0 specific things that we use in the speedrun and talk about in the speedrun, that one has, for whatever reason, become known as getting 1.0'd.
It's true. It's pretty funny. Getting hit while you're falling. Also, if it's the last hit, if it kills you on the same screen that you're falling into a screen transition, you can corrupt a bunch of memory in the game. Pretty useful in major glitch categories. Blue having a few extra pauses here on this bomb jump, unfortunately. I think he was on the right pixel. It's a little hard to tell. Yeah, there we go. Nice.
Yeah, a couple extra pause buffers is really nothing compared to failing the hammer jump. So
yeah,
definitely making the smart choice here.
making his way to Helmasaur, who, as I mentioned earlier, would Helmasaur death, which we don't want to see, but we've seen plenty of so far this tournament, would close most of the gap here. This is a really tough boss. Hopefully he'll make it to it with full hearts. Having a little trouble dashing there. In which case you can take 3, if you have full hearts and you got Sank Heart, you can take 3 hits from Helmasaur before you die. So we should be able to get through, but it's one of the scariest parts of the run. Oh, nice.
Oh man, Blue going out of his way to get arrow, coming out of pod with 18 arrows.
That's
with
absurd.
a free 10 drop. That's what we like to call comfy.
Scarlet, meanwhile, has 5 arrows. You need 6 arrows, so she's got to get them probably in the Mimic Room, unless she gets a lucky drop like Blue did. Up on the Turtle Room here, it's another difficult, finicky room where the RNG can occasionally just get you. Ooh, messed up a little bit there. The important thing to do in this room is not get hit, so that because if you take 1 heart of damage, then you're a whole hit less survivable on Helma.
Getting a very fortuitous single rupee to bring him up to 10 rupees, which will put him at a nice 100 even after getting the flippers later in the run, which notably reduces lag to the tune of about a second over the course of the run over having, well, I don't know specifically over having a count in the 90s, but
I think that's accurate. I think it's around a second. I don't know exactly. It all sounds kind of made up to me.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Smarter people than me have.
Yeah. So Blue did a trick here. If you arm spin speed, the game sort of it kind of thinks you're dashing, which is why you can get full speed and all the other stuff. One of the ways in which it kind of thinks you're dashing is that when you use the hammer, instead of having the like terrible hammer hitbox, it has the like pretty reasonable dashing hitbox. So that extends your reach a lot, which makes wailing on Helmasaur a lot easier. It turns phase 2 from like terrifying nightmare into a reasonably manageable fight, although still really difficult. Scarlet, by the way, had a pretty good hammer jump. Definitely saved quite a few pauses over Blue on that.
Oh man!
In Hyrule. What a bad enemy. Okay, now this arrow situation is even worse because she can't get a lucky drop from the top mimic anymore.
Which is honestly in a race setting, she was probably going to grab an arrow pot regardless. I would, I think.
Maybe she knows the AD strat. Blue's making his way to Thieves Town, successfully avoiding lotteries. Let's see if he can also avoid the Murder Dactyl. Yep, no problem.
Taking a nice low dash to ensure that.
You have to do. Is this the first item dash if you don't do Hera?
I think so.
If you dash and use an item on the same frame, you kind of use the item while dashing. It affects different items differently, but the hammer, you sort of have a hammer hitbox the whole time, so you can dash through those pegs and knock them down as you're going. Scarlet, unfortunately, at 5 hearts here, can only survive 2 hits from Helmasaur. Hopefully she can play this safe. Get through okay. Blue is robbing a cursed child, I think.
Nice job from Scarlet as well, keeping her diagonal input going to keep her shield unloaded while she goes through that transition. Saves a few frames in lag. I didn't see if Blue got it, but it's not something every runner at this level knows about.
Scarlet playing it mega safe on the last hit of the helmet there. When you break, very nice face too. When you break Helmasaur's mask, if there's a fireball on screen, don't go in there. Okay, cool. If there's a fireball on screen, the fireballs all despawn. So she was waiting to see if he was going to give her fireballs and then despawn them if so. It's a good way to play that fight safe.
Blue is activating the flute really early. I wonder if he's grabbing powder.
Either he's grabbing powder or he used to recently and hasn't gotten used to the new location where you're supposed to do it if you don't get powder.
Looks like the latter.
Yeah, looks like it.
It's an interesting proposition in a race.
Oh. Okay. Are we gonna get apples? We are gonna get apples.
Not a bad call. There are a couple
absolutely.
places where having beams in Thieves Town. Down 1.5 hearts, or was he down 2.5?
I think
Either
it was
way,
1.5, but I don't know.
Either way, that's not what I'd call the danger zone probably. But I think a move like that means that Blue isn't really interested in PBing, and he knows that a death this run would be the worst thing he could do to a runner who probably has something of an execution advantage on average. Just playing it safe, making sure there are no big mistakes. Probably a smart move.
Thieves Town is not super dangerous once you're pretty good at it. But it takes a while to get there, and if he's not fully confident in his ability to get through these rooms without taking too much damage, just stocking up on health is very reasonable. Scarlet, meanwhile, is down 3 hearts. I wasn't looking, but I guess that means she got hit by the bird.
Yeah, she got murder dactyled. Stopped her dash a little early. You need to be basically flush with the top of the cliff, the higher part of the cliff below, to avoid.
Yeah, I use the shadow as a visual cue. The trick to that screen is you want to nudge on the tree coming out of the little canopy area. You come out a little bit to the left and nudge on the tree, and that activates the bird while you're nudging, and so he sort of goes farther out of his way, and you have a little bit more time to dash before getting owned.
Not a perfect Hellway, but as far as imperfect Hellways go, not a bad. Oh my god.
Please don't die in the overworld.
Okay, we better see an apple bonk from Scarlet, or
I would expect that, yeah. Both players actually having trouble with the Usain Bolt screen, although Blue's was a little more self-inflicted since he thought he was going to the library.
Yeah, that's the hidden danger of doing the spin speed on your way to the library is you might autopilot to the library later.
Yeah. The screen is actually pretty different each time. The guards aren't there before you kill Aghanim,
Yeah.
so that makes it a little bit easier to not get confused. We are not seeing an apple tree bonk. Oh my goodness. Courage.
Again, Thieves Town is a pretty safe dungeon if if Scarlet can scrounge up a heart basically anywhere, she's in okay shape for Thieves Town, I'd say. Having 2 hearts is pretty scary because most of the enemies there do.
I would probably have
2
bonked the
hearts.
tree in a race setting. Like, you really want to be at 3 hearts. Blue filling up on hearts here. Maybe not confident in his blind script. Oh, by the way, we should do commentary. We're doing commentary.
Trivia. Okay, that's as far as deaths in Thieves Town go, that's the one Scarlet probably wanted to take. I was actually kind of wondering if she would opt to just take a death right away, because you could almost maybe argue that between like killing all the guards on the tree, the apple tree screen, and picking up all the apples, it might just about break even there. But yeah, trivia.
Alright, so the trivia question today is, and I didn't start this at the normal time, so maybe we'll give you until Scarlet gets to the blind fight or something. Today's question is, inspired by Jim and the Bombers of Clocktown in Majora's Mask, this rowdy group of boys, led by Ivan, patrols Windfall Island, terrorizing the Isle and cutting Mrs. Murray's class. Oh, ma'am, 6 is not correct. Oh my goodness, getting a little beat up in the hellway.
As long as Scarlet can get this floor bombed open and get downstairs.
Understand the question. Okay, there's a rowdy group of boys led by Ivan that patrols Windfall Island, terrorizing the Isle and cutting Mrs. Murray's class. That group was inspired by Jim and the Bombers of Clocktown in Majora's Mask. Question and answer, of course. Thanks to Anders, by the way. I did not come up with it myself. I've never played either of these games. Blue, having destroyed someone's shed and robbed their life savings, is on his way to kidnap a dwarf who is in hiding and forcibly put him to work. It is not the Goonies, no. We have 1 heart here. Opting to pick up both hearts, actually.
Not a bad call. Did kill the red Zazak, which is the big threat in that room the majority of the time.
Sometimes it shoots up at you while you're dashing down, and there's not really a lot you can do about it. Is Blue a fence dasher? Are we going to see a fence dasher? About to find out. Scarlet, meanwhile, coming up a blind. Also picking up an extra heart. Interesting.
Contact damage with blind is 2 hearts, so...
It is, yeah. I'm just a little surprised that she's not confident she can do the script. But then, it is a race and things haven't been going her way, so I understand it. Took a couple hearts damage, but made it through. The answer... Sorry, nobody got it. The answer is the killer bees.
Sean F. did get it. actually. Just
Oh, I
like
missed it.
20 seconds ago.
Nice. Good work, Sean F. The difficulty is fine. It's just you picked the 2 Zelda games that I've never played, so I don't know anything about them. Blue coming up on many people's pick for worst room in the game.
I
Pulled
think
that
no
statue
matter
down.
who you ask, this is probably top 5.
Pulled the statue down a little too far. And then just got that weird thing where you slash the mummy down and it kind of moves, but not really. Kind of stuck. Even though you're hitting it down, it's stuck like inside. I don't understand how it works, but it's terrible. Blue just slashing every rope that gets in his way. Doesn't want to mess around and take damage here. Moldorm's bullying him a little.
Opts to bonk across. That is surprisingly slow in comparison to falling into the pit, as usual. Or as
Oh my god, that fairy. What a troll. Popped out
what a
and just
temptress.
immediately ran away to space. Yeah, it's like over a second to bonk over the pit instead of falling in. But you do get to save a heart if you're worried about Moth or Mummy Hellway, which are both very reasonable things to be worried about. Perfectly reasonable. Fire snake behaving, that's always nice.
See left pot from blue in that
Shout outs to Left
pit
Pot.
room.
Going a little slow
Yeah.
doing that mummy strat and got intercepted on one of those fire rods.
A combination of being slow and just the Gibdo RNG could get away with that sometimes, but that was some reflex on Blue's part to not take that spike when he saw that he was nudging a little too much.
I wasn't looking. I didn't see if Scarlet got the fence dash. Having a little trouble with Moth here. This is a tough fight. And when it gets away from you, it's really hard to get it back under control because the whole room is fighting you. It does get through it though. Not the Moth fight you want to see, but the most important thing is that the bug is dead and the elf is alive. Scarlet having a little trouble with Mummy Room here too. Opting to do some baiting of the mummies instead of killing them as Blue chose to.
Definitely saved a little bit of time that way, I think.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know, it's hard to say.
Ooh, almost making that mistake that everyone makes at least once. You mirror and you. Okay, I think.
Are we gonna Death Warp here?
I don't know if Scarlet's gonna feel like she can afford to.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be worried that if I don't Death Warp on purpose, yeah.
Okay, yeah, she's doing it. Okay.
I think this is the right plan.
Yeah, it's.
It doesn't feel good,
No.
but it's better to Death Warp on purpose than just dying. So. Blue there,
And-
interestingly, menuing to mirror as if you were going to go for the quick warp, but just letting the dash finish.
Yeah, it could be an investment in muscle memory for later when he starts caring about quick warps. I know, like my PB was like I don't know if I even looked into any quick warps other than the freest of them, before about this 132 range.
Yeah. Blue just came incredibly close to getting lotteried by that Ropa there. That's not the first time this round that I absolutely expected him to take damage, and he didn't. Scarlet having a little bit cleaner on the hallway.
Did he just go for quick fish?
I was watching Scarlet.
I know he missed the throw and had to do the bush of shame, but
Having a little trouble in Mummy
ooh,
Q.
I like this call from Scarlet. Just grabbing those arrows, knowing her count is pretty darn low. Scarlet only has one hit left, and that moth was far more cooperative.
Yeah, that was nice. Nice RNG, nice execution. This boss is called Mothula in English as well. That's just her name.
Definitely making up some time. I think even with the death warp,
I think
Scarlet
so
made
too.
up time.
I want to look at the sort of time when she splits, but I think she did make up some time there. So what do you think on the subject of King Zora? Do you think he's an extortionist, or do you think that this is a reasonable price?
You know, if I knew the price of anything else in Hyrule, I might be better equipped to answer that.
Well, you know the price of some things. A bottle costs 100 rupees unless
That's true.
you steal it from a hobo.
Potions to fill those bottles cost, somewhere between 60 and 160.
Right.
Flippers are they're probably a more specialized good than bottle. I think this is, maybe a bit steep, but a fairly reasonable value.
It's reasonable personally. It's expensive, but it comes not only with the flippers themselves, but also somehow magically imparts the necessary knowledge to operate them, because you never have to practice swimming. You can just do it immediately. I think there's some kind of magical knowledge transfer going on that factors into the price. Yeah, one I'm pointing out. Blue got hit by a fireball, I think actually 2 fireballs on the Zora screen there. So he didn't have beams for the first room of ice, which makes it not only slower, but also harder. It really is unpleasant. Oh my gosh, I thought that Pengator was going to get him too.
Yeah, Blue is just...
Stop scaring me, man.
He's got his guardian angel at hand in terms of taking damage.
Oh, wow. Look at this guy. Look at that berry. What was he doing?
Okay, Blue standing on the left.
Yep, does not save you. There's no... The bomb reaches all the way to the left of the compartment. You cannot be safer by standing on the left.
I think
Extra safety bomb.
I think grabbing a 4th bomb before IPBJ is... That's a bit overcautious.
Sign of confidence.
I have full confidence. I have full confidence in both our runners. That's not okay.
How much confidence do you have now? So as of the skull split time, they are 2 minutes and 47 seconds apart, unless I can't do time math, which I usually cannot. Yeah, made up about 10 seconds in that split.
I think that's right. I can't do any math, so
Blue is getting up close to Cold Stare. Oh, interesting, opting to walk that ramp. It loses a few frames, but it's no walk risk. Oh my god, that is the
Ooh.
worst enemy. I was so angry the first time that happened to me. Where you dash down that slope, and the slope sort of pushes you into the crab, but it pushes your fleshy face into the crab instead of your sword. It's so annoying. Blue gonna try to kill Cold Stare here. If everything goes well, this fight is over in a blink. If anything goes wrong, it goes so wrong. So hopefully we have a nice clean fight. Nope, we dropped the poke dash, and now everything is terrible.
Oh my! He was just living in that puff for a little bit.
Oh lord.
He's...
Oh! How did that icicle not get him?
I don't know, dude.
Okay. That was terrifying, but we're through. Yeah, so that's an example of what happens when something goes wrong on Cold Stare. It goes so wrong.
Scarlet with a very nice bombable floor. And honestly, like, Scarlet with deaths in 2 dungeons is still less than a dungeon behind.
Yeah.
Which is...
Was that a good pixel? I don't know.
I think, yeah.
Oh, nice. I never really did that setup.
That's
the old crystal graphic from 1997. Nice penguin lineup too.
that was a very nice penguin lineup.
That's an insanely difficult room. It looks very straightforward, but it's actually so easy to screw up.
McMonkey in chat also confirming that that was a good pixel from Scarlet. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Oof, getting hit by a boulder there. Yeah, he had some really nasty boulders. After going back and forth trying to not get hit by a boulder, eventually decided to try his luck and immediately got owned.
Scarlet, despite taking 2 hearts of damage before coming into the dungeon, is going into Cold Stare with only a further half a heart missing, that's pretty good for Ice Palace.
Yeah, this has been a good ice. Oh! Okay, that was really close to being a clean 1 poke.
Yeah.
That was probably 15 seconds faster than Blue's fight, maybe more. A Cold Stare party is incredibly punishing.
Mm-hmm.
Blue looks like only getting Ether in the Swamp Split, probably doing the sort of standards shopping these days where you get Ether in the Swamp Split and then Ice Rod in Turtle Rock. I don't know what Scarlet does.
She was getting both in Swamp Split, I think at the time of her PB, but recently she got Ice Rod in TR. I don't know if it was just for 1 run or if she's switching to that now, but so I yeah. That might be a gold Ice Palace for Scarlet.
I don't know what her gold is, but it was a good... Yeah, there we go. Very nice.
Yeah,
is that
she
really a
gained
5-second gold? Holy crap.
Yeah, talking to her recently, I know that Ice Palace is one of the places where she had a lot of time save, especially relative to her skill level. And nothing in Ice Palace went wrong for her really, except for that singular crab that honestly didn't cost her any time anywhere else. So
Having some trouble getting spin speed here.
okay.
Also getting just absurdly bullied.
Oh, she had it and did not cardinally exit the...
Terrible.
And this is why you get Ether in the swamp split, because being down this much health going into Misery Mire is absurdly punishing.
Yeah, it's
But
much
in
better to
swamp,
be down in Swamp.
It's workable.
Blue showing up, if you grab that rail while the water is filling up, the game doesn't have to draw your shield, and apparently drawing the shield isn't expensive, so it adds like 10-15 frames of lag.
And that's if you don't kill, I think, any enemies in that super tile.
So it's
So
if the same number of enemy things are on the screen as when you started. If you dash through the red berry and kill the skeleton, for example, there's no reason. Or if you dash through the red berry, then there's no reason to grab it because there's so much stuff that you're not actually saving the life frames. Playing it safe with that helps there.
But I think that was a 635 ice from Scarlet, and Blue's was a 719. Blue had a lot of individual slow rooms in the ice split. So is that?
Yeah, that's a big chunk of time.
That's a huge chunk back. And yeah, Scarlet is opting just to get Ether.
Blue going for the hammer dash. Started it a little bit in the wrong position and got fireballed, unfortunately. Did we remember to hit the switch? I think we did. Yeah, we're good. Hammer dashing for glory.
I want to say that's a... That's more than a minute loss, right? To
forgetting
skip the switch?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I think it's around 80 to 90 seconds. Scarlet, having killed the skeleton, doesn't grab the wall, unless maybe she just never grabs the wall. It's hard to tell from sample size of 1.
Probably breaking pretty close to even with how far she had to dash to kill it, but it can't harass you afterward. Oh my gosh. The stupid dashes into enemies that...
How did that get her?
Yeah, that you can't... There was nothing Scarlet could have done about that short of knowing it was going to happen and stopping her dash, which... It's really uncommon for that to happen. So Blue, knowing he does not need any more arrows for any reason, skips the ones in that room.
I think I still would have gotten those arrows. Not sure if it's right, but I think I would have done it.
Yeah, being at a solid 30. I mean, I think I would probably wait till the Turtle Rock arrows just because you get all 5 of them that way, after you've used a few.
It's true, but those arrows in Swamp are faster, I'm pretty sure. And you can skip the chest in GT either way. But who cares?
Yeah.
It's 20 frames or whatever. I really like ammo routing. I think it's like an interesting thing to think about during the run, but it just doesn't really matter until you're, way better than I am. Why not save your frames, right? But it's not like important.
Ooh, Blue going for the zero cycle. Gets a couple puffs with it. Honestly, getting the second puff is one of the hardest. The second puff and the last puff, in my experience with the zero cycle, are the 2 hardest to get. I have as many missed zero cycles from the beginning as I do, 1 puff from the end. I just whiff it and lose the timing, but doesn't lose much time. That was a fast 1 cycle.
It looked like, so he menued to the fire rod there. You can use the fire rod to kill Argus in the second phase a little bit faster. I wonder if he's been doing that in practice or something and got mixed up and was thinking about it, because then he had already done the first spin, so there was no point in using the fire rod. He just menued to mirror. The problem with changing strats is that you always have these in between eras where you do half of the old strat and then half of the new strat, and they don't work correctly together.
It could also have been a case he was in a really awkward position relative to Argus when he finished phase 1, so he might have been like, okay, I'm not going to do the fire rod strat because I don't trust myself to get in position, and then
also
when it came that time for the menu that he always uses, he ended up doing the one that he would do otherwise.
The normal one, yeah. Nice swap. That was I think about 2 seconds off of his gold, so that's very good. You'll have to be playing that close to your rolls. Not going for the bird dash. You're too low. Okay. Scarlet did not opt to get the restock arrows. A little bit interesting. I don't think they're not necessary. They're probably not the fastest, but it's a little bit spooky to not have any arrows, to not have at least 21 arrows here. It's totally fine. You can just get different arrows. Normally you expect players to get the arrows if they're below 20, 21 here. Came through Argus, no trouble. She didn't go for the zero cycle, but the plain old, regular old strat, whatever you call it, went just fine.
She didn't make up. I don't think she made up time here at all. You know, she didn't lose very much extra, but Blue had a pretty clean swamp.
Keep that lead. Shoutouts to that one slug RNG.
Blue playing it safe. He recognizes it. He tried to do. He stopped a little early. Is the only fault he had in dealing with that room. But then just took his time. You know, rather than risking taking a heart of damage he didn't really want to or for. He's well behind PB pace. He knows. I'm sure he knows he has the lead.
Yeah, I don't know if he's watching her or the restream or anything.
I guess that's true. I'm not sure. Some people opt not to. I find it really hard if I'm not on a good run to stay invested if I don't know where I stand in the race.
Yeah. Some people just want to like focus on the game and play their best run. I personally have way more fun if I'm watching the restream or my opponent or something. Keeps me engaged. The thing about speedrun racing is that like it's not really that interactive, right? I'm sitting over here playing a video game, you're sitting over there playing the same video game at the same time. And I feel like tuning into the race or my opponent's stream makes it feel a lot more like a social activity, like we're actually racing, despite maybe not being the best thing for my performance.
I think Scarlet just went for and got optimal Meyer 2.
Oh, no, I missed it. I love Meyer, fast Meyer 2. Don't hook to that pot. That's been your PSA for the day. You have to wait. You want your iframes to run out while you're on the switch as fast as possible, which means you want to get iframes as fast as possible. And it also means that hooking to the pot doesn't actually save you time, because you still have to wait for the iframes to run out once you get there, even if you do the hook after you get damaged by the spikes.
Scarlet starting that dash just a little bit early on that RNG where you have to follow the fire snake. Also a good read on the slug RNG from